You're to state your name, please.
Donald Kneepkens,
Middle name?
Robert,
Donald Robert Kneepkens, born what year?
1933.
Sorry, what's the date?
February 4th, 1933.
And where were you born?
Kimberly, Wisconsin.
When you were born, what do you think the population of Kimberly was?
Oh, I would guess between 2,000 and 2,500. Today is Juneteenth,
Juneteenth.
2021.
Juneteenth, 2021. So tomorrow's Father's Day.
Yes,
Yeah. And yesterday was June 18th. Why was that special to you?
because 66 years ago yesterday, your mom and I were married
And where was that?
at St. Barbara Parish, Neenah, Wisconsin.
And how old were you when you got married?
22.
How old are you right now?
It's 88.
How old was mom?
20.
So you're 88, that means you were born in what year?
1933.
And you were married what year?
1955.
Your mom and dad, what were their names? What was your dad's name? In formal.
Johannes
Kneepkens.
Kneepkens.
And your mom?
Martina Van Beek.
Martina Van
Kneepkens.
Beek. Okay. How many siblings do you have? Or did you have?
8.
8 siblings?
8 siblings.
And where are you in that order?
The second youngest. I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters.
So you are the 5th son?
5th son.
And who am I?
5th son.
Of a 5th son.
Born in 66.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to ask you some serious questions. We're going to ask you some funny questions. This is an accumulation of all your kids, your grandkids. So just go with it, okay? All right. You guys jump in here at any time.
All right.
Did you have running water? Did you have electricity? Did you have heat in your house when you grew up?
We did not have running water. We had a cistern and a pump a pump on the kitchen drain board.
So
When I was born, and about I would say just before the war, 1939, they moved the house, turned it to face the street, and then we had running water.
Why did you have to turn the house to get
Well,
running
the
water?
house was kind of between lots, facing the alley, and they had turned it to face Birch Street. It was just like a farm out in nowhere. So when the city was formed, they had streets and alleys, but so the house needed to be turned 180 degrees and about 30 feet.
The old foundation is still there.
Yeah.
When was that house built? Do you have any idea?
Oh, probably in the teens.
And when did Grandpa buy it?
I'm guessing my parents were married in 15. I'd guess in the early 20s.
Early 20s. Wow.
What was your first job? And how old were you?
I had a paper route for about 4 years. I had 100 customers, and I got 3 cents a paper. So that was.
You got paid 3 cents a paper?
Yeah.
$3.
$3 a day?
It was 3 cents a week.
Okay.
A week. So you got
3 cents a
$3
week. So I would get $3 a week. And what was nice, holidays, they didn't publish, but the people paid. They didn't realize that I was making an extra 3 cents. So the days I didn't work were like Biden. If you didn't work, you got more money.
That's perfect.
Did you play sports, or what was it like being a kid in you're born in 33, so say you're grade school. Did you play sports? What would you do for fun?
Well, Kimberly was a mill town.
Okay.
And
What kind of mill?
paper mill,
Okay.
Kimberly Clark, and they had what was called a clubhouse, which was a pretty good size fountain, but big. The fountain was probably 30 feet long, but the room, like a living room, was huge. And attached to it in the back was a full gym and a stage and stage curtains and all that. So we spent a lot of time. Oh, and they had a swimming pool. And if you were a member of the family that had worked in the mill, you got the privilege of swimming in the swimming pool, and we did a lot of swimming.
So you did a lot of swimming. Did you guys have a baseball field? Did you play basketball? Were you athletic? The only sports were basketball.
Did you play? A little bit at Holy Name.
Would you consider yourself athletic?
Intramural. Remember I worked. I couldn't have played. So intramural sports were after dinner, and I could have my paper up. And we had to work. All of us worked.
So there wasn't much time for fun.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. We had a lot of fun.
But you couldn't commit to basketball every night.
No, gosh no.
Okay. So basically, after school, you worked, and like on a weekend, what would you do with your friends? Did you have friends?
Oh, a lot of friends. In the winter, it was the clubhouse. Played basketball in there, and you sat around like this.
What were some games that kids would play? Did you play kick the can? Did you play kickball?
Kick the can, hide and seek. Summer nights. Yeah, and when you were in high school, you could swim at night in the swimming pool. The way the schedule was, the boys had an hour in the morning and the girls had an hour in the morning. And then after lunch, the boys had an hour and the girls had an hour. But high school, you could go after dinner. And it was open, I think, until 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
Boys and girls together.
Boys and girls together.
What was the biggest trouble you ever got in?
Well, one night it was in the fall.
It was in the fall.
And tomatoes were ripe. And it was about 4 or 5 of us. We collected some tomatoes and deposited them on somebody's front door.
Did you get caught?
And we got caught.
What did your dad do?
Pissed. Well, I didn't tell him. But what happened is one of the kids, his IQ was about 88, got caught. The other was got away.
How old were you?
Probably 14. And so when he got caught, he squealed on the rest of us. And we thought we were free to, there was night baseball going on. So it was early in the evening, about 7:30, dark. So we went and sat in the baseball game, thinking we got away. The cop came and pulled us out of the stands. And we went down there, and the owner of the house was there. And I didn't say a word, and I got away with it. Then about 3 days later, I was getting up to go out at night. My dad said, "Where are you going?" I said, "On the clubhouse." "No, you're not. You're sitting here till you learn how you behave. I know that you bombed their house with tomatoes."
Why'd you do it?
For fun.
Oh, okay.
So did you get grounded just that night, or
About a week.
about a week?
That was the only trouble I ever got in.
That's the only thing you ever did where your dad grounded you.
Oh, I'm sure. I think he was a pretty good kid.
Okay.
I think so. Which one of your kids would be most like you as a kid?
You and DJ.
Okay.
Why do you say that?
Well, straight and narrow. Mike was a challenge. Jim was a challenge. You were a challenge. We'd be on Eden Drive. who did they want to see? One of the Kneepkens boys.
And it was either Jim or Mike or Sue's, but not DJ or John.
Well, one lady came down and she said that DJ was in her garage or something, and I wasn't there. And your mom took him by the hand, marched him down there, and said, "Is this the boy you saw? He says he didn't do it." Oh, she said, "Maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't him."
So why did you wait to DJ to name one of your kids after you? Why the fifth child? Why not the first one? Just random?
Yeah, it was nobody said name. Well, John is probably named for my dad, but I don't think there was any other.
But all the names are biblical. Was that part of your naming or not?
That's everybody did. Right?
You have to have saints names.
So Christian saint names is what you
To be baptized. Yeah.
in order to be, was that like a law? I mean, a church law?
Well, it was enforced. I mean, you couldn't go in there with the
You
name
couldn't name your child Bert.
or Cedric or like they do today.
Cone.
Yeah, Cone.
How did you choose chemistry as a major?
Well, it was ignorance. I went down to Madison with a scholarship, and I liked chemistry in high school, so I went to the chemistry department. I can't remember how this happened. It was Dr. Sorum, a delightful man. He was the head of the chemistry department for freshmen. He said, "What school do you want to go to?" And I said, "University of Wisconsin." That's how dumb I was.
Why?
Well, what school? And I said, "University of Wisconsin." That's where I am. And I think he knew right then that this wasn't the brightest bulb. And he said, "Are you interested in chemistry?" And I said, "Yeah." So that was it. I had no idea.
You're almost kind of chosen for it in a way.
Almost, yeah. It would have been an econ. I had no idea. I had no idea how a college worked. I was the only one in my class that went.
And the only one in your family, or is that not true?
Well, my brother John was drafted out of Wisconsin in 1941 when the war started.
You know, let's talk about that. You went to Madison. How did you choose that, or is that the only school that accepted you?
Well, when I took, I had a teacher in high school, Andy Fenema, was our physics teacher, and he said, "Don, on the first Saturday of December, countrywide, they have the Navy has a test that you could write for a scholarship." And it was a big deal, and you had to have signatures of people in town and the principal. So the principal, he said, "There's no point in him doing it. A lot of other kids have gone and they don't qualify." So Fenema said to me, "Don, you're going to write that test." And it was held in Appleton. You know, it wasn't at every school. So it was 8 to 12 on a Saturday, first Saturday in December. Well, I obviously got a good grade. I never heard anything about early January. I got a telegram that I was supposed to report to Chicago. The Naval, I can't remember what, for a physical and interviews for the scholarship. Now I'm 17 years old, so I get on a train and I go down to Chicago, and I go through it, and it's the first time I noted that when they said bend over and spread their cheeks, they didn't mean this. And so obviously I must have done well there. Oh, and then you selected 5. Oh, I got a letter that I had been accepted. And so I had to select 5 schools in order. Well, the only one I knew was Wisconsin, so I selected Wisconsin, Marquette, Notre Dame, Northwestern, and Indiana, I think. So I got my first choice. And so I went down there and I saw them.
Have you ever had an IQ test?
Yeah,
Do you know what your IQ is?
it was 132 at that time.
What do you think it is now?
I have no idea if they even have
That's
such.
interesting, because when I took mine was 133.
Mine was 168.
You think you're in double digits at this point?
At least.
Can we mix it up a little bit, speed round?
Yeah,
So we're gonna give you a couple names or words and you tell us this word association. Okay? Naval Intelligence.
Well, Naval Intelligence is an important branch of the United States Navy, I can assure you.
Is that what you were in, Naval Intelligence?
When I came back from sea duty, I applied for a school. I didn't want, remember, I hadn't seen, John was walking the first time I saw him. So I had no, and this was in,
He was 4 at the
I was gonna
time.
say 12.
When did John first start to walk? At 4 or 5?
so I wanted shore duty. So I applied for a school, and it was Naval Intelligence, and it was 9 months long. So they had, in order to get that, that's why I served 3.5 years. I had a 3-year contract, but in order to go to a 9-month school, they made me extend. So they got some value out of my school.
So you don't find Naval Intelligence to be oxymoronic?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I know it's not.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
it's not.
okay, so the next 3 or 4, 1-sentence response. Okay? Dave Morrison,
A great guy that I love.
Sister Frances Marie,
Sister Frances Marie was our principal at St. Margaret Mary's in grade school. Do you remember her?
Oh, no, I don't remember. I don't remember her name. Well, I was president of the school board and I loved her.
favorite family memory.
I would think my mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary was very, very important. Everybody was there. They didn't lose any. Well, I had 2 siblings that died in the Spanish flu long before I was born. But other than that, the whole family was at the 50th, which was in 1965.
So we all know Jim is your favorite, but why are none of the other children in the will?
I gave it all to Steve.
Stephen. Stephen.
What was your favorite trip or travel destination?
Me personally,
Yeah,
alone.
our family, or just, if somebody said, what's the coolest place you ever
I
been?"
think I get answered that a lot because I have been in many countries, a world around, and I think that the trip that your mom and I took to Israel,
Oh, Israel.
we were there. I think it was 5 days in Jerusalem and 3 or 4 days but at the Sea of Galilee, and I think your mom enjoyed it as much as I did, and it's spiritual and it's mind-boggling. It's just
Who's your second favorite Big Ten team?
I think I would say Northwestern.
So if you go to see your granddaughter play at Utah and they're playing Wisconsin, what jersey do you wear?
Utah.
Really?
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm with you.
How about Perry Como?
Perry Como?
Yeah, what does that bring to him?
When I go to Alexis in the morning, I say, Alexis, play some music by Perry Como. I do.
So tell us about your music choices. What are your choices?
Well, that's one. You know, a falling star and put it in your pocket.
Who else would you rate?
I asked for military music, Perry Como, Jimmy, the country singer, Ring of Fire,
Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash, what's the one that sang in, her nephew is a big star today.
Carole King.
No, he's a really good-looking
Yeah.
guy. It's very,
I missed the description.
huh?
Who?
No, the other.
Rosemary Clooney.
Yeah, Rosemary Clooney.
Rosemary Clooney.
George Clooney.
George Clooney.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. All right, let's go back. So, sorry, what was the enrollment at Kimberly High School when you were there?
The school, I'm guessing in the range of 200 because there were 51 in my class.
When you were in Kimberly High School, something happened to your leg. Tell us what happened.
This is kind of a fortunate thing. I
Yeah.
was playing intramural basketball, and Abby Forsetto and I had a collision, and my leg swelled up, but it went away and nothing happened. But then my job was working for John Verbain, delivering groceries, and I was delivering groceries to MAS, M-A-A-S, and it was a cold day, and I had the box, and I held it up so I could push the button, and it slipped, and it got my knee, and that swelled it up and had to cost surgery.
You had surgery on your leg?
Still got the scar.
But
3 weeks in the hospital.
Yeah, but what was special about that?
yeah.
There was something very special.
Oh,
Yeah, tell the story.
Wow.
I should not have gone to the game. By that time,
It's a basketball
they
game?
had skinny. It was at Menasha,
Basketball?
the tournament, and I was wearing those skinny jeans, and it swelled. And I met this girl from Nina. I was sitting in front of them, and the pain got worse and worse, and I passed out
In the stands?
in her hands.
In whose hands?
Your mom.
Okay. Well, people
Yeah.
don't know that. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so you passed out in mom's hands.
And allegedly, she stopped the game and ran across the court to get somebody she knew, or a cop or a teacher, and they put me on a gurney, took me out.
And she was from the rival high school.
No, Kimberly was playing. Kimberly nor Nina was playing. That was interesting. The tournament was always in Menasha because they had that big gym, and there was probably 2 or 3 games that night. I can't remember, but neither Nina nor Kimberly was playing that time when I passed out.
So they wheeled you to a gurney and took you to the hospital. How did you meet Mom?
No. Well, they took me home.
Took you home.
And then the next day, the doctor took me to the hospital, and your mom visited me at the hospital.
So did she send you a text message or did she FaceTime you?
Paid for it. They weren't a nickel.
So when you would express yourself in your hands right now. What happened to your hands?
It's a disease called Dupuytren's contraction. It's prevalent in Northern European men, rarely in women. But it's hereditary. My dad had it, my oldest brother had it, and my brother had it. My brother was, at that time, was in Stanford Hospital Administration, and he knew the top hand doctor in the world who operated on Imelda at Philippines. So he had the surgery, the top hand. It came back. And he said that the therapy is extremely painful. So I never had it done, in spite of Elway.
Speaking of Elway, your number one pro football team is?
The Green Bay Packers.
Your number one pro basketball team is?
Well, it was, I followed the Milwaukee Bucks a lot when they had Kareem, and they won with Kareem and
Oscar Robinson.
probably, yeah, who averaged a triple-double for a whole season.
Your favorite baseball team is?
Cubs.
You follow soccer, hockey, any other teams? Let's go to college. Your favorite college football team?
Oh, Wisconsin.
Your favorite college basketball team?
Wisconsin.
Your favorite college baseball team?
Not Wisconsin, they don't have baseball.
Okay.
So if you were the president of the Green Bay Packers and your $40 million MVP quarterback said, I'm sitting out the season, or you could trade him and get some value, what would you do?
If truly what I would do, he needs a spanking. And the spanking he would get, he would sit on the bench. If he showed up,
I'm saying he's not even going to show up.
oh, then I would not trade him.
No?
I'd eat the money and let him.
Sit. Let him sit.
I don't like the idea of the fox running the chicken coop.
Name association. Jim Hotchkiss.
Good friend, best friend, one of the best friends I've ever had.
Madison.
Well, it's a great place to go to school. It's a great university.
Would you say your mom and dad were strict?
My dad was very too strict, and my mom was fantastic. My mom was just like your mom.
What do you think, if you can look back on your 88 years, is there a wow moment that you can, was there something that stands out, whether it's, whatever it is there anything that really, aside from meeting Brenda, my lovely wife?
Well, I know what things that happened that impacted my parents. Like coming to Kimberly running the Kimberly Mill was, for my parents, it was something that couldn't happen to their child.
So you came back to Kimberly after university. Actually, how long did you work for Kimberly Clark when you were assigned that position?
Let's see. That was 1974, so 19 years, counting my military.
So for the young people that might watch this, tell us about how your dad worked. How many days a week? How many hours?
My dad worked seven days. Well, Kimberly, a paper mill has to run 7 days, almost has to run 7 days a week to make money. To start up a paper machine takes 3 to 5 hours, and shutting down takes 3 to 5 hours. So it has to run. The Kimberly Mill in those days would start up January 2nd, and the first day down would be Easter Sunday. They'd run continuously. So all the people work 7 days. So during the Depression, to create jobs, they went from 8 hours to 6 hours shifts, so they could have one whole shift to hire. They increased their employment by 25% and had jobs. And so my dad worked shifts, and they changed shifts every week. You know, it was 6, 12, 12, 6, 6, 12, 12, 6. And I'm guessing, about 10 or 12 years before my dad retired, which is in 1955, same year I graduated, he stopped work. He was the oldest or the senior person running in the filtering part of the plant. And at that time, we were using probably 5 million gallons a day and had to go through the filtering and the but it became automatic, and they only needed one guy. And my dad was senior, so from then on, he worked 7:30 to 2:30 every day, 7 days a week.
Can you imagine?
And then they got, I think he probably got 5 or 6 weeks vacation. What Kimberly Clark did at Kimberly was an independent union, and it wasn't a national union. And they bargained away their rights, and that's why it had to be sold. When I was there, if we ran one piece of equipment, the whole mill had to work. But you just can't do it. You got customers for that product. You can't do it. You can't. They wouldn't work.
Speed round. Colombo or McMillan and wife?
Colombo.
MASH or All in the Family?
Oh, that's a MASH.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Me too. If there was one thing you wanted earlier on in life, like at any age, that you didn't splurge on, looking back, you wish you'd done it, is there anything you wish you'd have bought? Or a trip or something where...
Stephen, I don't think so.
Not really?
No.
Tell us more about what's your favorite memory of Mom?
Oh, God. She was what?
Okay. How about any favorite memory of your mom and dad?
Oh. Well, you know, I think it's like you guys would say, they're the best. My dad was too strict, though. He really was too strict.
Is it true that the FBI came to Kimberly to investigate a young Don Kneepkens?
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
When I applied for intelligence school, the agents came around, and this is a funny story. My dad, he couldn't have called me because we didn't have phone, and when I was in the Navy, must have got a letter, and he said, "Are you in trouble?" And I don't remember how it happened. And I said, "No, I'm not in trouble." He said, "Well, the FBI, people tell me, the neighbors are telling me that the FBI is checking up on you. You know, getting your background and so forth." And I laughed and I said, "Well, this is because they're doing a background check before you get into the clearance you need for intelligence school." And that was funny.
And did they interview friends, or who did they talk to?
Neighbors.
They talked to the neighbors, and did the neighbors tell you the kinds of questions? Did they come to you and say, "Hey, the FBI is here"?
Well, all I know is my dad said they're
Why don't you take a second if you want?
"Are you in trouble?" Because the neighbors are saying the FBI is coming around asking questions about you.
Your faith is very important to you.
Absolutely.
Tell me about, have you always felt, first of all, your faith is
Because I'm a Roman Catholic,
Okay. Have you always been a Roman Catholic?
always.
Tell us, and you've never questioned that.
No. Never.
So you grew up in the church. Did you participate as an altar? Tell us about your.
I became an altar server in 1942 when I was 9 years old. And I stopped altar serving when I moved to Michigan in 2008.
What?
I served Mass in Grass Valley.
Until you were 70 years old?
Yeah, well, every Tuesday was my day to be an altar server. Yeah.
You didn't know
I didn't know he was. I didn't realize that. So, how would you describe your why? Why do you believe what you believe?
Well, first of all, I think it's the truth,
Okay.
and I believe the good news that Jesus came to tell us is truthful, and the hereafter is all part of it. And I have no doubts. I mean, there's no doubts in my mind. I'm not suggesting anybody else should do this, but for me, this is it.
And there's never been a moment in your life that you've doubted that.
Never.
And did you come from a religious family?
Well, it's very strict. Again, the rules and regulations, which is not bad in terms of the church. But like when I was in grade school, we had to go to Mass every day. I don't know if you guys did.
2 days a week.
We had to go 5, but that was, we went to school, March 2 by 2. But when we were in high school, we were in a public high school, during Lent, we had to go to 6:30 Mass every morning. And that wasn't fun in the winter. But that was all part of.
Did you ever go to the sacristy and sneak wine or take a host?
No,
Never.
never.
Did you carry a gun in the Navy?
Only when I was on shore patrol,
What kind of gun was it?
45.
Did you ever use it?
No, thank God.
Would
My
you join-
worst fear was I'd have to pull that sucker out. Well, you can think, I'm going to give you a picture. You've been at sea for 22 days. Never seen land. And your people that are working on the ship are the enlisted men are between 18 and 22, 23. And the officers are 22 to 30, most of them, and then the senior officers. So now you got 3,000 guys in the prime of life, kids, 5,000 miles away from mom, with money in a foreign port, and the first thing you see is a whorehouse, a tattoo parlor, and a bar. So
Which did you choose?
and you have to get, the way you get there is getting on a whaleboat, because the carrier was too big to dock. So the guys get on the whaleboat, and they're very nice dressed, and then they come back, and they're sick, and they fight, and they're ugly, and they don't want to do anything they're supposed to do. That's shore patrol. And every officer gets it.
If you had to do
And
it over,
is something to behold.
if you could have paid for college, if you had the finances to do it, would you have joined the Navy or any of the military branches? Or was that strictly a means to the end?
Would I have volunteered? I don't
Yeah,
know.
would you have graduated and joined the Navy, or would you have participated in the military if you hadn't had to? Because it helped pay for your, that's how you got a scholarship, right?
Yeah. Well, it was almost, you see, I would have got drafted in Korea, there was no question. So, I mean, I would have gone to, but if that wasn't the draft, I don't know if I would have volunteered. I have never thought about it.
Okay. if you could give a piece of advice to any of your grandchildren or all of your grandchildren, anything you have to, what would you say, or any philosophical or?
Well, most of them have been fortunate to be able to go to college, and that's it. I would encourage them to do their very, very best, and it's not the religion and good news, but all of them, what their parents taught them. There's none of my grandchildren that have an excuse not to be good citizens.
Over the years, you lived in many places. Real quickly, starting with Kimberly, what cities did you stop along before you ended up in Kalamazoo,
Well,
Michigan?
I'm going to give you only the ones I had an address.
Okay.
Okay, it's Kimberly. I mean, with Kimberly, Wisconsin. The Naval Air, Norfolk Naval Air Station, Pensacola Naval Air Station, and then Gene went back to Nina and home, and I went to sea. And then we came back, and we went to Washington, the District of Columbia, and we lived in another naval, a short term in another naval base, and then an apartment we had in Washington was furnished, and we moved to an unfurnished in Maryland. Okay, then I was discharged, and we moved to Munising, and we moved to Menasha, and we moved to Nina, and then we moved to Dayton, Ohio, then we moved to Nina, then we moved to Torrance, then we moved to Palos Verdes, and we moved to Penn Valley, and then we moved to Grass Valley, and then we built another house in Grass Valley, and then we moved to the condo here in Kalamazoo, and that's when your mother stopped moving with me. I went alone to
That's quite a run.
the old people's place.
Have you ever smoked marijuana?
Never.
Would you like to?
No.
Did mom?
I can't swear to it, but I'm certain she didn't.
What do you think of the state of the country today? June
It's sad.
19th, 2012.
It's sad. I hate to say this. I think that the best of this country is behind us. I don't think there will ever be days like the 50s, 60s were kind of wild, but we have nothing that's stable. Nothing is clear anymore. Not even our sex. We got like 14 sexes. To me, none of this is good. I don't think it's good. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is positive. Look, military. It's impossible for me to think of having women aboard ship. I have no problem with women in the military, but there's places they don't belong, unless you want to put women on women's ships. You cannot have women on ships and men on ships, the ages I gave you, and tell them you can't fraternize. You could have one or the other, but they try to do both.
You're gonna have to cut it.
When I was in the Navy, in the military, if you were gay, you were ousted. You got a general discharge. I don't care if they're gay or not. I could put up with that as long as he was gay for himself and didn't gay me. But there's nothing. For example, this is cute, but Brody, my great grandson, got a trophy for baseball. I mean, it was everybody has to have a trophy. You can't have a winner. You can't have a loser.
Can't keep score.
You can't keep, yeah. And I don't think that's wholesome. I think some people have better skills in certain things than other people. We're not all the same. To date, I'm very proud of my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids.
If there's anyone dead or alive that you could sit and have dinner with, who would it be?
I'm sorry?
If there's anyone dead or alive that you could sit and have a meal with, who would it be? Dead or alive?
Anybody.
Anybody that's ever lived, ever. Could be someone close to you, could be someone you know.
St. Paul.
St. Paul.
Good
Why?
answer.
Well, he had balls. I mean, he really took it. I mean, he changed, as you know, the history. And he traveled extensively. I mean, he was in Rome, Ephesus, all the Hebrews and the Galatians and Philippians, and he was there doing his thing. And it wasn't always easy. And he changed the whole church to accept non-Jews, which was the Council of Jerusalem.
That's
So-
a good answer.
He would
Great
be,
answer.
he would,
So if you were able to, if Jesus were to sit down here, was there something you would ask him while you're still alive?
that's a good question. When I look at Jewish history, we tend to start it with Abraham, and then they sold Joseph to the guy. As a result of that, there were, millions of slaves in Egypt. That was a result of selling Joseph. God rescued them. They were segregated to Babylonia. God rescued them. And there was a number of other cases that the Jews, and God intervened. Where was he at the Holocaust? Those Jews were good people, and when they were in those cells, they were praying they were praying and begging from 1938 to 44, say, and no response. And that's a tough one for me.